Just as a reminder to everyone, during this period of public comment regarding warrant article 19, I'm going to allow everyone or those who wish to speak to come up once and only once. During the second period of public comment, you're able to come up again once and only once as well. And with that, I'll open public comment for the discussion on petition warrant article number 19, amend Londonderry Municipal Code Title 1, General Code 1, Section 8.13 Alpha, recording board and committee meetings and scheduling of meetings.
Yeah, I'd like to address something first here.
Yes, please.
It's very important as we're doing these things that we actually address them with accurate information. It was brought to my attention that in the local newspaper, it talked about how with the planning board piece, I said, well, we haven't done it any differently in 30 years, so why should we change? What I asked Cameron to pull the minutes, because someone wrote a letter saying that I said this too, but let's pull the minutes, and here's exactly what I said. We are a quasi-judicial state statute regulated board. Attorneys advise public comment is a good idea, and public comment isn't a good idea, and public comment is on every ordinance and regulation and at every public meeting. If this is done because of public comment, it has been resolved. The way it was stated doesn't tell why it's a good idea after 30 years of no lawsuits, where elected boards in the states have multiple lawsuits. The most recent one being in Brookline for $610,000. Now the developer can build whatever they want. Not saying that we should do anything, but we need to do much deeper investigation onto why this is a good idea or not. You are introducing topics that should not be influenced by others. Let the people go through the process of a public hearing. Make your decision on what people are representing to you and not based on innuendos and rumors. That's one particular piece that it was inferenced in another way, but that's what was said at the meeting. Something else was stated at the meeting, the last meeting we had. Someone got up and made the statement, I checked the minutes, that the town charter has been revised 6 times since 2020. In fact, the town charter has been revised 7 times since 1996 and 1 time since 2020. If we're going to make comments, you got to get the facts right. Stop making things up that didn't happen. So if you're going to make statements, make sure you're accurate.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please. Thank you.
I wasn't sure.
Good evening.
Good evening. Deb Paul, 118 Hardy Road. I am the citizen who put this petition forward. The reason that I did this is because a lot of the meetings that are held at night, there are people who can't make the meetings because they have small children. They want to participate. They want to be part of it. And they can't. They just can't come. And they can at least watch them. Or if you're in another board, you can watch another meeting to know what's going on. So, for example, if you are on planning board, it would be smart to watch traffic safety meetings. So you would know what areas the people are coming and talking about, and the developers say there's no problem. But yet at the traffic safety, there's been people who have been talking about it. So it helps people know what the other citizens in the town and what's going on in the town. And that was the reason for it. For example, this week alone, Conservation didn't get recorded, and nor did the utility meeting get recorded. And those are 2 big committees, and they were not recorded. So I think just so people know what's going on, not just in the paper, not just word of mouth, not just social media, that they could sit and see what actually happened, hear the dialogue that went on in the meeting, the conversation, and have a better understanding of the whole picture of the meeting as opposed to a snapshot or just a cliff note of it. And that was the reason that I put that out there, because there was times that I would have loved to have gone to one meeting and I couldn't because there was another meeting going on at the exact same time. And so therefore I had to pick and choose. And I was interested, but I'm not going to sit there and, to be honest, I'm not going to read all the minutes. And the minutes don't really tell you everything. They're kind of real short version synopsis of what happened. And so that is the reason why I put it out there. If you have any questions as to why I did it, ask me. That's pretty much all of it.
What was the vote?
I'm sorry?
What was the vote?
Oh, May I answer her?
Please.
I'm sorry. I think it was 75% of the people who came out to vote. It was over 3,000 people that asked to do this. I think people want to be involved in their town government. They just find it difficult with everything going on in their lives, and it's just hard. And so that's the whole reason behind this, or having the time at an earlier time. It's just so that people can participate more. You want to encourage. I mean, everything I ever see is, let's get people involved. After all, as counselors, you're supposed to listen to your constituents and your residents to understand what they want to hear. So they come out and they vote and they tell you. They come here, they tell you, and they expect that you're going to kind of do what they're asking, or at least have a public dialogue where they know how you got to saying no. You know, just saying no is great, but how did you get there? Like, what were the reasonings behind it? And I'm probably used my time up now.
No, you have a couple minutes left, and I know we don't typically get in a Q&A, but I would like to just kind of ask a couple questions, if I may.
Sure.
Being that you're the petitioner. So one of the reasons why I wanted to lay out these warrant articles and have hear the why is, what's the reason behind it? Help us understand. Because as you recall during deliberative, that was really the only time that we had an opportunity to hear about it. It wasn't through the budget workshops. There wasn't great discussion, and the warrant articles were written in a rather ambiguous way, meaning they could be interpreted like one person's reasonable time for this warrant article specifically. This one person's reasonable time who might work second shift or overnight shift or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's really what my why is. So can you help me understand what what you mean specifically as a petitioner, what a reasonable time is?
Absolutely. A reasonable time is where the majority of the public could attend. Mm-hmm. So it would be an assumption that most people work 9 to 5. So after, the commute. So that is why I believe most of our meetings do start at 6:30, 7 o'clock, because that is a reasonable time in which the majority of the population could show up at these meetings. And I think that's what we want. We want to encourage people to come and let you guys know what they're thinking, or not you, but anybody on any board and committee know what they're thinking, or if they have a question or a problem.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question about clarification about this?
Please.
So when I read this, I read meetings to insert the words "and shall be recorded" after the words "shall meet at the time best for the general population." Does that mean that the words "shall meet at the time best for the general population" are already there and it wants to insert the words? Because if I read it that way, this is just about recording. But if both those are being inserted, then it's about both.
So what happened was it was going to be all one warrant article. And after listening to a lot of different people, a friend of mine who lives in Hudson suggested to me, you should break them up.
Can we just pause real quick? Let the record reflect that we're past 5 minutes, but I'd love to extend, please.
Okay, thank you. So they said break it up, because somebody may be for recordings and not for public comment, or somebody may be for the time, so to get a truer picture of what people were for, they said do 3 different warrants instead of 1. And I think that when I broke it up, I just got a little confused in the writing of it, but...
So is the intention of this recording to break it up in recording and time, or both?
No, it was there's one that specifically says time, and then there's one that says recording, and then there's one that says public comment at the beginning and end.
Okay.
It was all one in my head, but
and this is the recording one. I just want to make sure, so when other
I'm
people
very
come
sorry.
up,
Yes.
we're speaking clearly about.
Yes, and from what I could tell by the votes, it seemed like people wanted all 3, and I probably should have left them as all 3, but hindsight.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else, or? Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else regarding this topic only? All right, seeing none, we'll transition to our second.
Are we going to talk about this? Or
yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
So when we're looking at this, here's what I. So currently, every board is regulated by the charter and can pick their own times and their own meetings and their own rules. Mm-hmm. The majority of them already. So like 20 years ago, they changed from 7:30 to 7 o'clock. Any board can change the time anytime they want. If the majority of the board wants to change the time, they can change it. I checked with cable and everything. We're recording like 99% of the meetings. We've got some staffing issues. One person just came back from maternity leave, but they endeavor to record all the meetings. They do the best they can. The state statute only says that we have to take minutes. I mean, if the legislature wants to change the statute, that's one thing. But it sounds like everybody's trying real hard to do this right. So that's at least from what I've been able to investigate. So
Yeah.
they're already allowed to change them if they want to, according to the charter. So just my 2 cents.
Thank you. Anyone else?
It sounds like we're already doing what we need to do.
Okay.
I think the intention of this was for other boards that aren't recorded. Now, like John said, we do run into trouble where it says in the charter we cannot enforce rules upon other boards. So that would require, this one is one that would require a charter change to do anything with.
Well, all of it. So here's the thing: is they were all ruled advisory, which means they weren't legal. So you go through this process, open the charter, whatever. If people want to change them, but here's the thing: you got dual family incomes. How do you pick a time? You know, I mean, but if you want to do that, open the whole charter up and then redo the whole thing. It's been 30 years. That's fine.
All right. So